Are we good? Everyone good?
Yeah.
All right. Thank you all for being here today. During this campaign, I've been very upfront about my personal journey that led me here. And today will be no different. I've come to a very difficult decision. A decision that's challenging for both me personally and professionally. I can truly say the only thing I love as much as my family is the city of Baltimore and the youth and the next generation of Baltimore City. Baltimore's poured so much into who I am as a man, as a father, as a husband, and as a public servant. It's been my mission in life to serve the people of the city of Baltimore. And I have been blessed over the past 4 years to do that on the city council. And I will continue that. But unfortunately today, I've made a decision to suspend my campaign as mayor of Baltimore. I spent days making this very difficult decision. I spent weeks considering all the paths that I had to victory. I spent months connecting the dots of thousands of who supported my campaign throughout this year. I spent the better part of 2015 of sitting down with subject matter experts, law school professors, clergy, business owners, and more importantly, our community. And I helped develop a very comprehensive plan that really goes after tackling the challenges that have plagued our city for far too long. But this race is not about me. This race was always about the city and the citizens of this great city. And that's why I've been so excited to bring voice to the voiceless. Growing up in the city of Baltimore, I've had the opportunity of seeing the best, but seeing the worst side of the city. And I know who I am today would not be the case if it wasn't for this amazing city. But it would appear now is not the time that I lead the city of Baltimore. But now it's the time for us to collectively come together as a city to again move our city in the right direction. I'm looking forward to continuing to serve the residents of the 7th District of Baltimore City through the end of the year. There are major policy issues before the council today that will have residual impacts for generations to come. And just as I was elected by my constituents 4 years ago to serve, I made a vow and my duty to do that from beginning to end, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. And I look forward to engaging in the substance discussions about how we move our city forward. Again, I grew up here in Baltimore. Baltimore is my home. And it has always been by my calling to serve the citizens of this great city. It is part of my mother's legacy. And so while I may not be able to be Baltimore's next mayor, I look forward to working and supporting Catherine Pugh to move this city forward. And I'm giving my entire support behind Catherine Pugh to become the mayor of Baltimore City. Are there any questions at this time?
Did last night's debate factor in your decision to drop out today?
Not at all. I think, last night we drove a very compelling message like we've been doing this entire campaign. I mean, look, I'm very excited about the campaign that I ran, that we ran, my team. I think it was a very professional campaign. Again, I was the first candidate to come out with very comprehensive policy points that really goes after the challenges that plagued our city for far too long. Unfortunately, we've become numb to these campaigns that talk about safer streets, better schools, and cleaner alleys. But exactly what are we going to do to achieve that? And that's what I wanted to build on this campaign. And I think that's what we've done for these past several months. And I think that's what I performed with last night.
Why did you decide? What was the
best choice?
I think right now it's time for us to move our city forward. I think she's in best position of linking us up with the state and federal government. Ensuring that we get investment in our communities that have not seen investment for far too long. And that's why I'm giving my support to Catherine.
So where are you looking?
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you. I'm just curious, when you said you spent days thinking about this, what was the deciding factor?
Not really a deciding factor. I mean, look, this is the toughest decision of my entire life. It's not the first time that I've had my back up against the wall and I tried to fight out. I just think that at this particular moment, it's time for us as a city to come together and figure out how we move our city forward. And in consultation with my family and some deep soul searching and praying, I came up with the decision today. Again, it's the toughest decision of my life, but as leaders, we're put in a position to make tough decisions, and that's what I'm doing here today.
When did you inform Catherine Pugh that you would endorse her, and what does that mean for both of you?
Catherine.
Oh, you haven't told her yet?
You're going to tell her.
Is there anything specific that you would like to get done before you leave office in December?
I mean, when we look at investment in our communities, when we look at coming out of last April and May's unrest, we really need a strong, comprehensive vision to moving our communities forward and providing folks with real chances of hope and opportunities in those communities. And that's been kind of my message throughout this entire campaign. The failed policies and failed leadership of the past. It's time for us to pass on a better Baltimore to our children's children. And I think every elected official, whether you're going out of office or whether you're staying in office, it's our duty to come together now more than ever to provide that to the city of Baltimore. Are there any other questions?
So what's next for you?
What's next for me? A lot of personal time. I have to break the news to a 5- and 7-year-old. They're going to be heartbroken when they return home from school. They were looking forward to Daddy becoming the next mayor. My daughter asked me today exactly when the election was, but it's a life lesson. It's a lesson for me. It will be a life lesson for them.
What are you going to communicate? What life lesson are you going to communicate to your girls?
That you put your best foot forward, and not always will the end result be the desired result and in and win, but you've laid it on the line. And I think to the citizens of Baltimore, we've been able to produce an extremely professional campaign, a campaign that I'm really proud of, a campaign that sets the benchmark to a lot of the policies that we've talked about in many of these debates and forums. I feel honored and humbled to have that opportunity. I tell folks all the time, statistically, I'm not supposed to be standing here, in front of a bay of cameras and folks looking at me and supporting me throughout, calling me potentially the next mayor of Baltimore. When you talk to many of our children in our city that grow up in single-parent homes, that have to struggle with finances, that friends aren't necessarily on the right path of life, unfortunately, they don't have the same opportunities that I had. And that's what I wanted to enter this race with. I wanted to enter this race by providing hope for those thousands upon thousands of young folks who feel hopeless in our city. I think that that's exactly what we need to turn around our city, and that's the type of mayor I wanted to become in our city, and that's the type of leader I will continue to be in the city of Baltimore. So again, I am very proud of the campaign that we've run. I'm very, very proud of the position that we're currently in. It's just time for us to come together and really move our city forward.
The current mayor, when she announced her not running for re-election, talked about how she could focus on just governing. Do you have similar thoughts about just being an advocate for your district and just being a leader?
Not really. I mean, I've been that leader and that advocate since day one. I'm going to continue to be that leader and that advocate from my last day. Throughout this campaign, I made it a point to ensure that constituent services stayed at the priority and the top of our list. And that's what we continue to do with my office, and that's what I'll continue to do while I finish my term as 7th District Councilman.
And when you say you were endorsing Catherine Pugh, what are you prepared to do to help her win?
I mean, that's a discussion that I'll have with Senator Pugh to try to understand and know what she needs. What I'm asking is my supporters to get behind Catherine Pugh, to support Catherine Pugh.
And would you elaborate a little bit on how she could coalesce the city and move it forward and work with folks outside the city?
Look, we have a tremendous amount of challenges in the city, David. You know that as well as I do. The structural issues, the systemic issues that plague East and West Baltimore are things that we have to go after. And the one thing coming out of the unrest, the worst thing you can do is waste a crisis. And now more than ever, we need folks to come together and change the trajectory of our communities. The one thing that we learned again out of April and May is that we're only as strong as our weakest parts. And we can't allow that to define us. And it's time more than ever that we need a mayor that's going to come behind and move our city in a new direction. That's ultimately the reason why I decided to run. I mean, look, this was always a risk. When I decided to run for mayor, folks tried to discourage me. Said, hey, you're going to have a safe city council seat. You're doing well on the city council. Why not stay there? Why risk it? But the risk is definitely worth the reward worth the reward, and that's what I wanted to prove to the citizens of Baltimore, that we can move our city in a new direction. And again, even if not an elected official, I'm still going to be a leader in my community of West Baltimore. I've been committed to West Baltimore. That's why, I purchased a dilapidated house that didn't have a roof or a back wall. This is my commitment to the city of Baltimore, my commitment to my family and my children. So that's going to stay intact, regardless of if I have honorable before my name or D after my name. Is that it? All right, well, thank you so much for coming out. Truly appreciate it.